Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. It's always a joy to have you with us, and today we're diving into a tender, quietly electrifying story that will make you believe that a single wish, spoken softly, tucked away, almost too fragile to name, can reshape two lives. We're talking about Barış and Yağmur, two hearts whose paths seemed destined to cross, and who, without ever forcing it, found their shared hope waiting for them like a door quietly swinging open. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of our intimate celebrity tales. Now, settle in. This one feels like the kind of dream you only confess in the dark, the kind that somehow finds the light. Have you ever felt an invisible thread tug at you, urging you towards someone before you even understand why? That's the undercurrent that seemed to carry Barış and Yağmur. From the moment their conversations turned meaningful. Past the surface laughter, past the routine industry chatter, there was a spark with weight to it. He brought a restless creativity, the kind that wakes you up at odd hours with a new idea. She held a calm, focused determination, as if she could already see the horizon while everyone else was still guessing at the weather. Together, they spoke in sketches, a life they might one day share, a project that might one day take shape, a promise they were hesitant to call a promise. And somewhere in those late-night exchanges, they released a wish into the world. Maybe they didn't call it a wish. Maybe it was just a thought, a lingering hope. But it was there. He would say, half playful and half serious, "Imagine if we actually did it," and she would answer with that small, thoughtful smile that means yes without saying yes. They didn't draw up plans. They didn't chase milestones. They only kept moving, trusting the rhythm that seemed to pull them toward the same horizon. And the strange, wonderful part is that life began arranging itself around them. At first it was subtle. A meeting rescheduled at the last minute placed them at the same cafe, a table too small to pretend they weren't aware of each other's presence. A chance introduction turned into shared work on a creative idea they both cared about. Invitations arrived in pairs, opportunities overlapped in ways that felt less like coincidence and more like a quiet nudge. She mentioned the seed of a venture. A tiny, honest thing that didn't need to shout, and suddenly he had the missing piece, the confidence to bring it forward. Or perhaps it was the other way around, he had always dreamed, and she gave the dream its legs. What happened next felt like a series of doors opening without anyone touching the handle. When it's like that, when the timing is that generous, you can start to believe you were meant to walk through. They didn't draft a manifesto. No one made grand speeches. They simply let the wish they'd whispered shape their reality. And that reality arrived without a storm. It arrived softly, the way dawn arrives, barely noticeable until it fills the whole room. Neither of them expected it to be so effortless. We're trained to think the things we want most should hurt on the way to becoming. We brace for struggle, for a cost we're not sure we can pay. But this unfolded like a silk ribbon slipping free. One evening, when the city was hushed and they were both a little tired from a day that ran longer than planned, the conversation turned in a direction they hadn't mapped out. The words came too easily to be rehearsed. "I thought this would take years," one of them said, barely above a whisper. "I thought we'd fight for it and maybe still miss it." The reply was a quiet laugh that sounded very close to relief, "Me too. And yet, look at us." There's a moment in every story when you realize the shape of what's happening. In theirs, it was the decision to say yes without ceremony, yes to a shared project they'd both felt in their bones, yes to a partnership that would live both inside and beyond their careers, yes to the possibility that love and purpose could occupy the same home. It wasn't a grand declaration so much as a calm certainty. One spontaneous evening, a promise emerged unannounced, closer to a sigh than a shout. No one staged it. No one posted it. The pieces simply clicked. And yet the surprise made it sweeter. Because when a wish appears without your hands pulling it closer, you're left a little breathless. The disbelief layers itself over gratitude, and you begin to look at each other differently, as if to say, "You felt it too." That recognition deepened their trust. It wasn't just romance, it was alignment. They were hearing the same music. He could rest in her steadiness, and she could drift on his momentum without fear of losing herself. If you've ever felt that, two rhythms becoming one, it's almost impossible to explain. But you know it when it finds you. Perhaps they had imagined a joint venture that matched their values, something intimate and sincere rather than flashy, a collaboration that didn't need to impress anyone except the two of them. Perhaps they had imagined taking a leap together, not to prove anything, but to build something they could belong to. Or perhaps the wish was simpler and deeper, stability, a shared home for their efforts and their quiet moments. Whatever the details, they didn't have to wring it out of life. It came when they were ready. If you've ever held a hope so softly you were afraid to squeeze it, you know the fear of saying it out loud. But when two people speak the same wish, when they admit it to each other, even indirectly, it becomes an engine you can't see but can feel. Choices start making themselves. Schedules clear. The right people show up. And the two of you, almost without noticing, are steering the same ship. There were still unknowns. They had their individual paths, their own commitments, the eyes of a public that keeps looking even when you want to be invisible. But the current was too sure to ignore. Opportunities that should have taken months took days. Collaborations that normally sag under the weight of compromise felt light and alive. They began to understand that the universe isn't always dramatic, sometimes it is generous, and the generosity looks like alignment. When they finally allowed themselves to call it what it was, nothing broke. There was no dramatic fight, no ultimatum, no carefully staged announcement. It was simply the next thing, the honest thing, the thing already happening. A spontaneous proposal, maybe it wasn't a ring on the table moment so much as a shared decision, the soft kind that holds firm. A gentle commitment that carried the weight of everything they'd felt but not forced. As if they had been walking with a destination written on the pavement, only now they were ready to read it aloud. And here's what's remarkable, the wish that brought them closer also strengthened them. The act of seeing a shared hope come true makes you braver together. It tells you that you are not alone in your dreaming, that your partner can see the same horizon you see. For Barış and Yağmur, that recognition deepened the patience between them. It taught them how to listen not for what they wanted to hear, but for what was true. It wrapped them in a layer of quiet confidence, so precious, so rare, that no headline could give or take away. What can we learn from this? That hope is not naive. That saying what you long for, even shyly, is a way of opening a window. That life sometimes prefers understatement, revealing its hand not with fireworks but with a series of tiny yes. Keep your eyes open for them. Notice the coincidences that feel like more than chance. Allow the timing to be right without demanding that it be your timing. The wish you whisper might already be on its way. If we trace their story from the beginning to now, the through line is simple and luminous. Two people quietly wanting the same thing, and the world softly making room for it. They met, they felt the spark with weight, they shared ideas that sounded suspiciously like a future. Doors opened without push. A promise arrived without announcement. And together, they chose to trust that ease can be honest. It's not lazy to accept grace when it's offered, it's wise. Let's breathe that in for a second. In an industry built on spectacle, they found holiness in understatement. The grand gesture was the lack of theatrics, the miracle was how natural it felt. They didn't grip it. They let it arrive, and when it did, they said yes with all the quiet courage in the world. Thank you for spending this time with us on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Stories like this remind us that magic still exists in the folds of everyday life, that tenderness and timing can conspire in our favor. Tell us, have you ever experienced a wish coming true before you had a chance to chase it? Did you recognize it right away, or did it sneak up on you like dawn? And what did you think of Barış and Yağmur's story, of the way a shared hope became a shared path? We read your comments, we treasure your thoughts, and your voices help us keep telling the kinds of stories that linger long after the video ends. If this moved you, if it made you smile at the thought of the wish you carry in your own chest, tap that like button and share this with someone who needs a reminder that gentleness can be powerful. And if you haven't already joined our community, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets so you won't miss what we share next. Another story is already on its way, quietly, steadily, just like a wish becoming real.